Report hundreds of thousands of people here in Massachusetts could soon lose their health insurance coverage. This after a federal pandemic era policy ended, now reopening the annual review of eligibility for MassHealth. That's the state's public health insurance program. Western Mass News reporter Kristen Burnell now joins us live in studio after getting answers from state health leaders in Springfield today. Kristen?
Chris, according to the Healy administration, nearly 40,000 people are enrolled in MassHealth and are expected to lose their health insurance coverage. But the state and public health leaders say they are ready to respond.
I'm here today and working all over the state on this monumental effort that really is going to take the full spectrum of our healthcare landscape and communities to ensure everybody in Massachusetts continues to have access to health coverage.
Thousands of people in the Bay State could soon lose their health insurance coverage. This after a federal pandemic era policy came to an end, reopening the annual review of eligibility for MassHealth.
We know the people who will be coming out of MassHealth over the course of the next year will be looking for help, and we are ready to provide assistance to anyone who needs help.
A redetermination campaign is underway as health leaders gathered in Springfield on Wednesday. It's a collaboration between Healthcare for All, MassHealth, the Massachusetts Health Connector, to ensure hundreds of thousands of Massachusetts residents retain their health care coverage when MassHealth resumed the eligibility redetermination process on April 1st of this year. Mike Levine tells Western Mass News the goal throughout this effort is to preserve universal health coverage in Massachusetts.
We are partnering with health plans, with providers, with trusted healthcare organizations within the community in a way that we never have before.
During Wednesday's event, leaders from state healthcare organizations emphasized how people can get continued access to healthcare coverage despite the COVID-related policy coming to an end.
We are ready and eager to welcome anyone who needs new coverage over the course of the next year, and we are already seeing Massachusetts residents take action. Since April 1st, more than 7,200 people who have lost MassHealth eligibility have enrolled in a Health Connector plan. This includes nearly 4,600 people who enrolled in a June 1st plan. That's 18% higher than our forecast.
And as to finding a health care plan that works best for you, health leaders suggest going through the state's government website.
Do not trust a Google search to find you lower cost coverage, which likely won't meet state standards and could leave you with big medical bills. So it's important to go to mahealthconnector.org.
Now, there will be a healthcare enrollment event on Saturday, June 17th at the Basketball Hall of Fame from noon to 4 p.m. People who need health insurance or have questions about their MassHealth coverage can speak with a trained health insurance assister. Reporting live in studio, Kristen Burnell, Western Mass News.